94.9 WDKB, it's Monica, and this Friday, the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis tribute show is coming to the Egyptian Theater in downtown DeKalb. Tom and Tony are the stars of the show. Gonna hear from them in just a moment. WDKB?
Yes, is this Monica?
It is Monica. Hi.
It's Tom Stevens.
Hi, Tom. How are you?
Good, how are you?
I'm doing great. Is Tony on the line as well?
How are you? It's Tony here.
Hi, Tony. I'm doing wonderful. How is life in Vegas?
It's wonderful. We're doing really well.
Good. Well, thank you guys for waking up kind of early to chat with me today. Looking forward to having you guys in town real soon.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so for anybody who is unfamiliar, let's break down who is paying tribute to who in this Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis act.
Well, I'm Tom Stevens, and I pay tribute to the Dean Martin.
Tony Lewis, I paid tribute to Jerry Lewis.
Wonderful. Now, I would love to learn a little bit more about the history of how this all came together because, Tony, you're not from here.
No, I'm not. I grew up and I still reside in Melbourne, Australia.
Neat.
And I guess I was doing Jerry Lewis in my own show for a long time. And it was about my 27th year doing Jerry. My dreams throughout that period was to have a Dean Martin to my Jerry. And over that time, I tried many guys, auditioned many guys, and no one could ever capture the Dean character. They couldn't do the voice. They couldn't, obviously, move like him, talk like him, and more importantly, look like him. Mm-hmm. Until one night after a show, I went onto YouTube, and I found this character here called Tom Stevens. And I could not believe my eyes when I saw his clip. In fact, at first I thought he was miming. And I had to play it back. I woke my wife up. It was like 3 o'clock in the morning. I said, you got to see this guy. And we were both completely gobsmacked. I couldn't believe this guy could look and sound so much like Mr. Martin.
Yeah.
So I immediately, I sent him a message on Messenger through Facebook, which I never do. And I said, hey, I'm from Melbourne, Australia. I just want to compliment you on your attention to detail and your perfection of your impression of Mr. Dean Martin. And I thought nothing of it after that. I just wanted to compliment the guy. And Tom was.
So I responded to him, and I said, "Well, thank you very much." And I said, "What do you do?" And he said, He wrote me back, and he says, "I'm a Jerry Lewis tribute artist."
You're like, get out.
Yeah. So I said, "Wow." I said, why don't I gave him my number, my cell number, and I said we should talk one day. And then it was either the next day or
a day later.
Yeah, a day later, I get a phone call. And it's Tony on the other end with his, this guy from Australia with his accent. And we started talking, and then he started doing his impression of Jerry over the phone to me. And I was like, my goodness, the way he could disguise his Australian accent, which he's doing right now during the interview.
I was going to ask. I'm like, I'm not hearing the Australian right now.
He speaks like we do when we're doing interviews and everything because he feels that people won't understand his Australian accent.
Oh, no.
New York. I'm always angry.
Now, of course, when it comes to Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, what's key is kind of that natural chemistry between the two of them. When you guys kind of first started talking to each other, did you kind of sense that right off the bat?
The amazing thing for us, or for me anyway, was when I first met Tom. Tom photoshopped a picture of us together, and he sent it to me. It's kind of like a fun thing to do. And I happened to open up this picture of us in front of my agent in Australia. And the agent was walking by and he said, "Tony, what are you doing, you idiot? Why are you photoshopping yourself with Dean Martin?" And I said, "I'm not. This is a guy called Tom Stevens." He said, "You're kidding." And he goes, "Get this guy on the phone. Get him on the phone and see if he wants to come to Australia." So I called Tom. I said, "Hey, look, you interested in doing one show over here?" And he said, "Sure." So the agent puts up a poster up on this building of an old reception center. It holds like 500 people or whatever. And he calls me and says, "Guess what? We just sold out. It's been like 3 hours, and everyone wants to see this show."
No kidding.
No. And he books another show 2 days later.
At another reception.
The same thing happened.
And we had no show.
We hadn't even met yet. So Tom flies over. During that time.
Yeah, that was in May.
That was in May.
May of 2012. And the shows were booked for October of 2012.
Yeah.
And so when Tony told me that, I go, well, we better start working on putting a show together. Over Skype, we would rehearse, and he would send me material that he knew of Jerry and things that Dean and Jerry did. And I never thought of putting a Martin and Lewis show together here in the States because I could never find anybody that could do Jerry.
Mm-hmm.
When Tony had first sent me a clip of him doing the typewriter sketch from Who's Minding the Store, and exactly the same thing happened with me here as it happened when he was looking at my clip in Australia. I called my wife and I says, Perla, you got to see this guy. He's unbelievable.
Yeah. And so it all came together. You made your way to Australia. And was that your first time leaving the country?
Yes, it was, to go to Australia to do Dean. Yes, it was.
So here you are about to put on a show in a country you've never been to, in a show that doesn't even quite exist yet. How did it go?
It went, our first show is on YouTube.
Oh, okay, great. I'll have to check it out.
It's the one with the blue curtain in the background.
Okay.
If you put on YouTube Martin and Lewis tribute show, and it's one with this kind of like a blue curtain in the background.
Okay.
And so that's our first show. We videotaped it together, and it looks like we were together for years.
Great.
We hoped we could get like a good 90 minutes. We ended up doing 2.5 hours.
Okay, this is sounding very reminiscent of the actual Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis history.
Yeah.
All the similarities are incredible. We're the same age difference as Dean and Jerry were. It's incredible. We're so similar.
Dean and Jerry were 8 years, 9 months apart. We're 8 years, 3 months apart.
This is crazy. It's like reincarnated for a new generation. Well, it's wonderful that you guys found each other on opposite halves of the world. And this all came together in 2012, and you've been doing it ever since, right?
Yeah.
Now, before you became the duo, you guys had been doing your individual acts for quite some time, right?
Yes. Well, Tom for years, many years, has had a show called Dean and Friends. So Tom would be Dean Martin, come out as Dean, and do a host of other impressions. And ironically, I was doing the same thing in Australia. I was doing Jerry and Friends, doing all my impressions as Jerry. So it's funny. The similarities between both of us, we're like the bizarro each other from the other side of the planet.
You really are. That's incredible. Now, tell me, Tom, you as Dean Martin have even been complimented by Dean Martin's daughter herself. What did that feel like?
Yeah, that was a great honor to have Dina. She came to the Dean Martin Festival. They started the Dean Martin Festival the year after he passed away.
Yeah.
He died in '95, and in '96 they started the festival. And so the first year I went was in the year I turned 40. Okay, and
okay.
I'm 61 now, but that was.
He doesn't look a day over 59.
He never ages.
Dean's birthday is June 7th. Mine's June 8th.
Oh my goodness, this is wild.
Right? So, when I was headlining the festival, Dina had came. That was the first year there, and she saw me on stage, and in fact, we sang on stage together.
Oh.
And she said to the audience, "I've never seen anybody look and sound more like my daddy."
Oh my
and
gosh.
I said, "Can I use that?" She said, "Sure."
Okay. Thank you for the wonderful marketing piece, and Dina, you are lovely. Now, can you kind of tease what we have to look forward to when you make your way to the Egyptian Theater? What is the show like?
What's our show like? Well, it touches on not only their career together, but we've also brought and introduced into the show the characters that Jerry created after they broke up. Mm-hmm. And the bellboy is in the show, the nutty professor is in the show.
The Chinese cook is in the show.
These are characters that Jerry had created. And
there's a lot of surprises, too. And
yeah.
You got to tell, the audience has got to understand, this is a show that is so safe and fun. We have, our audience ranges from 6 to 100. We can get children in there, their parents, and their grandparents all in the same room watching the same show, and everyone laughs. Everyone gets the jokes.
Yeah.
We don't have any profanity. It's family friendly. There's a lot of great songs, great memories, and a lot of surprises. Yeah.
That's great. Now, of course, when you're talking about the younger generation, Dean Martin, Jerry Lewis, this was a product of the 50s, so they might not be as familiar with it, but it's still something that they can find enjoyment in because of just the comedic value and, of course, the music value. Correct?
Absolutely, yes. Because it's funny. We just did a gig the other night, and this woman, she was probably in her 40s, early 40s. And she came up to me and says, I used to stand on my daddy's feet when I was a little girl, and we used to dance to Dean Martin songs.
Aww.
And she said, you brought back that memory to me tonight, and you just, and this is what we're doing to people. Because they remember their parents enjoying the Dean Martin show and watching the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis movies. So and then there's the young kids, because YouTube is so accessible and everything is there. They're curious. Mm-hmm. And after they see us, they're going on YouTube and looking at Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis, the actual characters, and then seeing, my goodness, these guys were really accurate.
That's great. It's awesome that you guys are kind of getting to bridge the different generations here and introduce two legends that maybe they weren't familiar with, or to kind of spark those memories for the people who do remember them.
Oh, it's going to be a great show.
We're looking forward to seeing everyone there, and we hope everyone comes along. They're not going to be disappointed.
Wonderful. Well, thank you guys so much for your time today.
We want to thank you very much for the interview, Monica, and we hope you enjoy the show as much as we enjoy doing it.
Thank you so much for the opportunity, Monica. We can't wait to meet you.
Thank you guys so much. You have a great day. Bye now. I mean, did you notice the way that they would finish each other's sentences and tell stories in tandem? The chemistry is real. Don't miss out on this amazing performance coming to the Egyptian Theater Friday night, the Dean Martin and Jerry Lewis tribute show. You can get your tickets at EgyptianTheater.org. We have a direct link for you on our community calendar at 949WDKB.com.